I think it has. I think so, because we don't have as many resolving cards.
We'll discuss that. Hello, I'm Jim Rockwell. Our program is People in Jazz, and today our man in jazz is Wes Montgomery. And many years ago, about 1959, well, it was indeed in 1959, a dear old friend with whom I had been associated and who owned a record company, which was Riverside, sent me a demonstration record of an album he was about to release. And it was a guitarist then quite unknown. It was Wes Montgomery, who since then has emerged and has become a major star, and it delights me to have watched this happen over the years, Wes. It's been nearly 10 years. It's been 9 years. But in those years, to watch this blossoming from an unknown guitarist from Indianapolis to the major star that you are. And I remember so fondly the things on Riverside West, because I think in all of the years that that company existed, with Bill Grover's death, the company ended. But I think in all of the years that Riverside existed, they never knowingly released a bad album, and that is a rare company that does this. A rare company. So many companies, they'll release a thing, they don't really believe it's that great, but it'll sell, do it. Now, I'm not suggesting that every album they ever made was great, but if it didn't come off bad, it isn't because they didn't try.
Right.
I mean, if it did come off bad, it isn't because they didn't try to make a good album. Everything they did was intended
They believed in what they were doing.
art for art's sake and a good album.
Right.
And they had such great faith in Wes Montgomery, and they had such insight in being the first to record you.
Right.
That happened because Cannonball Adderley heard you in Indianapolis and went back and told the Riverside people. He said, this man in Indianapolis is playing guitar till you wouldn't believe. Now, this is the way most unknown players become known, I think, as itinerant musicians, traveling around the country as you do now. When you get in a local town, you hear somebody and you go back to New York and say it. When you travel around the country, Wes, and indeed now you travel all over the world, do you listen to players wherever you go?
Every chance I get, but we've been working so much, it's hard to get out to hear other groups and other fellows. I hear some guitar players now and then, upcoming guitar players, and sound good.
Where have you heard somebody? Who does someone come to your mind now that you've heard an unknown guitarist that's playing someplace unnoticed?
Yeah, Joe DiArio from Chicago. Have you heard of him?
No.
He's together. And but I think the most fantastic guitar player I've heard was Nelson Simon. Is in Montreal, Canada. Oscar Peterson told me about him. Coltrane told me about him. Horace Silver told me about him. Also, most of the major musicians has told me about him. So I figured he must be great. And I played there one week, and I had a chance to hear him. So I couldn't burn my guitar up because I was working. So. Boy, that was... If you ever come here, it's over.
Oh, really?
See, now, you probably don't believe this, do you?
No,
because I sort of...
never doubted you in my life.
But I sort of felt like, you know, you can feel like a guy is good, sure. You know, it could excite somebody. That's sort of the way I felt, but it's much more than that. He's got a new approach to the instrument, new direction. For instance, he played chords as fast as a lot of guys play lines.
Well, you do this.
No. I mean, play them. I mean, he'd make all the changes, all of them. I mean, without, like if you start off with big changes, he'd continue to large changes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. There's never anything like that. And he's always crying. He's always telling me, oh, I'm not ready. I can't get myself together. I'm talking about, yeah, that's right. It's too much, man.
How old a man is he?
I don't know, he looked like he's around 31, maybe 29, 30, 31, something like that. But he don't know his own talent. He don't know it.
Well...
So keep that in mind. Nelson Simon.
Nelson Simon in Montreal.
Montreal.
We'll ask Oscar about him when he's in town next.
All right.
But now here's the case in point. You have mentioned half a dozen musicians who have told you about this guy.
Right.
and this is the way unknown players frequently become known players, is that other players hear them.
Right.
The word spreads. Now, does it wait then for a player like one of these that you've mentioned, or like yourself, to hit on a record company about an unknown player like this? See, the reason I'm mentioning this, Wes, is that so frequently players will come to me or come to somebody and say, I want to play. What do I do?
Yeah. Well, it's not quite as easy today as it used to be. Major recording companies a while back were looking for new talent, but they don't seem to be looking for it anymore, unless it comes from the people that's in the company. On the outside, names doesn't mean anything. Like, for instance, if I went to, I'm with A&M now, if I went to my company and said, well, look, it's a guy I think is great, I don't care what if he's saying or what. They say, yeah, great, good, come on in, have some coffee, you know. They'll go right off the subject. It's just different, that's all. Just like the same differences that a lot of the major jazz labels has sort of started their artists to put 1 or 2 commercial things on an album. They used to wouldn't do that. I mean, like Riverside was one of the ones. They didn't deviate one way or the other, but just like things change, you know. So that's one of the things that have changed.
You said, for instance, that this young man is unaware of his talent. This is historically what has been said of Wes Montgomery. Everyone in life has said, Wes had no idea how infinitely talented the man is, because you're a self-taught guitarist.
Right.
It has also been said that in the history of the instrument there have been 3 men who have done something new, who have brought a new dimension to the instrument, and who have made an honest-to-goodness contribution to the instrument. Django Reinhardt, Charlie Christian, and Wes Montgomery. Because before you, no one played the way you play. And it's been said because you didn't know, right? Had you been a schooled guitarist, had you been taught from the very get-go to do everything according to impeccable technique, everything as it should be done, you wouldn't be the player you are, I think.
Probably not. Probably because you don't have any instructions saying that you can't do. It's all in your own mind, what you feel like doing. What you feel like to be developed.
Not having been channeled in a traditional, track of a schooled guitarist, you were free to go.
Right.
Fortunately, you went in a beautiful way.
Fortunately.
Now this, but now this is not to say, I'm just thinking that each of these 3 men that we've mentioned, Django Reinhardt, Charlie Christian, and yourself, have all been self-taught guitarists.
Yeah, come
okay. But this is not to say that a young man aspiring to play should intentionally remain self-taught and avoid all schooling, because it's a rare man indeed who can be a self-taught player and have it come off and do something right.
Yeah. Well, in fact, I know quite a few fellows that are self-taught. But I guess like anything else, sometimes it comes off and sometimes it don't. And any part of it is rare when it comes to making any contribution at all.
Yours is a family of self-taught musicians, and we'll hear some of them now.
Great.
Pianist in the group is Wes's brother, Buddy Montgomery. The bassist is Wes's brother, Monk Montgomery. These are all self-taught players, and we'll hear the group. Play Windy for us.
Okay.
All right?
Good.